See those springs right there? See how they don't look nice and flat? They don't curve up anymore?
You mean the leaf springs?
Yeah, we're gonna get in there and cut it all out.
Oh, sweet. Is that happening today?
No, but I certainly can let you know what it is. So we'll cut it out. We'll drop this whole axle down on the ground on a set of rollers and move the whole thing out of the way and cut all the spring work out. Put it all back up. Roll the axle back under. Lift it back up in the air and call it a day.
Wow.
And
That's a huge job.
It's a good sized job. It's a solid 2-3 days.
Wow.
The big thing is having the right equipment to do such a job. And when you don't have the right equipment, then you have to depend on outside sources to do the job.
It's true, and just to give you an idea, so we use these mobile column lifts, they're referred to, on a regular basis all the time. And we're able to lift 18,000 pounds per column. So it's nothing to take a truck like this or even a tri-axle, which, like this tanker truck here that's in the center bay, we'll just move the lifts over and put the whole truck up in the air, and that truck, grosses in at around 71,000 pounds. And you've seen, aerial truck, which gross anywhere between 85 and 90. We can lift the whole truck up in the air, do everything we have to do underneath of it, do springs, chassis work, anything that has to get it done, put it back on the ground. Anything that we have to do, any heavy work, we can just put it down on the ground. We can lift the cab off the truck, pull the motor out, do whatever we got to do.
Wow.
And
that's pretty impressive.
The lifts are definitely super. These are old model. The new ones now, this is all wireless. There's no cords. They're all Bluetooth connected and battery operated. So each one has a lithium ion 24 volt battery on it. And the set of 4 costs around $100,000 now. So I have 2 sets of 4. So that gives you some kind of indication of what we've invested in doing this. These were, when I bought them, these were $60,000, and these are 15 years old now.
Right.
And they go up and down all day, every day.
Right.
They never stop.
Another thing that you could
That's
probably
the deal.
describe too is if you have to lift the body off, you could show them what you use to do that.
Oh yeah. Yep. We've had some pretty interesting projects in here. One of the things that is really cool about what we do is you never know what you're going to do. We have no idea, other than what we put on the schedule, what we're going to deal with every day. And for example, last week we had multiple engine jobs with multiple electronic issues going on. And we have Cummins and Detroit engine software, and we're neck deep in that troubleshooting process. And here it is this week. We're going to take springs out of a truck. We're rebuilding an entire plumbing manifold on another truck. So like I was just talking to Barry about some of the interesting things we do here, and it's always something new. And it's one of the things that really makes our job cool. Like I was talking to John, the nice camera guy here, about just a moment ago. Last week we had engines in here that were coming apart because of electronic control issues. You're out with computers, you're out with the latest technology kind of stuff, and you're reading codes, you're tracing wiring diagrams online, and that was last week, and here we are this week. We're rebuilding plumbing manifolds on this truck. We're getting ready to take springs out of the truck behind you. and it's really cool. It's one of the things that we like. And here's a prime example. So if you back up a little bit, what we're looking at here is a giant light tower out of a rescue truck. So if you've ever seen news footage of a fire incident or emergency incident, something like that, all the the whole area is all lit up like daylight. Well, that's because of one of these guys right here, and this right here at the moment has a leak in this telescoping mast. It's a pneumatic air-operated telescoping mast. It has a leak in it, and we're going to replace all the seals on it. We're going to replace the cord that goes up through the center of it, because the cord itself is the problem, and it actually, the air fitting seals around the cord, and the cord gets a hole in it, and next thing you know, the thing just drops down on its own, and you can't have these things dropping down when they're supposed to be up in the air lighting up a scene, and people are getting saved and houses are burning down. So, and that little baby right there is going to cost roughly $5,000 to fix, just for some perspective. And I wish a better portion of that was for me, but the parts alone to do this job are $3,000 just to replace a cord. But so that gives you kind of an idea of some of the diversity we deal with, and then we get right into nitty-gritty plumbing, and you can take a walk and step over here if you want. So because we're dealing with fire trucks, everything here that we're dealing with is custom. There's literally no two fire trucks that are the same. And we have some valving here and some plumbing in there, as you can see. Well, the plumbing is all attached to a single manifold, and the manifold has a hole in it. So we're going to take the whole thing out, rebuild the whole thing from scratch, tack it all together in place, take it back out again, weld it all up so that we know it's sealed up tight, and then we're going to put it back in. And hopefully here, as long as Carl did his part, we're not going to have any leaks. We're going to send out home another happy customer.
It's pretty awesome,
People
actually.
really don't understand, really, of how everything is assembled on fire truck. You wonder why is a fire truck so expensive? If you really get into it, you look at all the compartments, you look at all the water, everything. It's just something that you do not know unless you will either do it or you are part of the fire service.
Yeah, it is a unique business, and sometimes I take it for granted, some of the cool stuff we get to do. But when you think about it, we're working with water, we're working with electricity, we're working with motors, so hydraulics, every single aspect of the mechanical universe is all under one type of vehicle, which kind of makes us all jacks of all trades. Everybody here can wire, plumb, weld. We do pretty much everything but paint. At least, we paint all kinds of stuff as long as nobody sees it. We'll paint but we don't do any body work. But everything else under the sun we do, including routine maintenance, brakes, springs, tires, you name it, we do it. And the thing that kind of like we pride ourselves on is we know that this piece of apparatus is going to a scene. It's pulling up on a scene with a fire or with a car accident or something like that, and the components of the vehicle have to work, or somebody is going to lose their life. And that's the reality of it. And it is kind of the little elephant in the room, if you will, that kind of keeps us all focused on track with what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it's something I'm proud to do, and I've been doing it for I'm 53, which is just like a year younger than Barry over here.
No, I'm a little older than you, pal. I'm 66.
And I've been doing it since I was 10 years old. So my dad did this. This is how I got started. I lived around fire trucks. My father, who I have his name, was a paid firefighter, volunteer firefighter. I was a volunteer firefighter. It's been in my whole family for, since the day I was born, and we just never got away from it. And knock on wood, I started my own business in 2007, and here we are now with 8 employees, 6 technicians, 2 service vehicles on the road, and roughly servicing the entirety of Connecticut, Rhode Island, parts of Massachusetts.
Wow.
On lucky days. And that's for all the Massachusetts people out there. And knock on wood, things have gone pretty well for it. got any questions, Barry? I know you do.
Yeah, well, I think what we could do is if you want to walk over to the other side, get a real idea of
Sure.
what your other employee is doing.
Sure. I'll give you. I don't know if you had I don't know if you got this on, but if you see one of the cool things, one of the things we like to use a lot is anything, power tools. It's whatever power tools we can get, we love. But we can lift. We have a hoist in the shop that can lift 5,000 pounds, and we'll drop generators in trucks, engines in trucks, transmissions in trucks, entire pump housings in trucks. And just to give you some, I had talked about the price of this a little bit. Even something as simple as a valve component that you might be able to find at Home Depot for $50 or $60. As soon as you put it in a vehicle that's painted red and has white reflective striping on it, you're looking at $700-800 for the same part. But because of the nature of the business, we have to deal with direct manufactured OEM parts. We don't want to take a chance of putting anything in there that doesn't belong in there, that wasn't designed to go in there or engineered to do its job. It's just not. It's not in our ability to do that. And it makes our life kind of tricky because we can't always just pull out a plan B or a plan C. Sometimes there's a lot of waiting for parts. That's just the nature of it. But here, come on, let's see what.
Let's go over here.
Want me to shut that AC off for a minute?
Sure.
Yeah.
There we go. So we're lucky enough to have a shop that's air conditioned, Barry. I know you don't have that at the shop that you work at.
Unfortunately, I do not.
And it's something that we did when we first started. I was like, because I hate the heat and I'm just a little bitch when it comes to heat. So I had an opportunity to rig up an AC system in the place. So we did that, and it's currently one of the only air conditioned mechanic shops that I've ever seen. So
that's not something that he bought off the shelf. That's
we made that.
He made that.
I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's definitely no made in China tag on it. Anyway.
And not only that too, because I did notice that was not a unit you could buy off a Home Depot.
Definitely not, no. But so this truck is in for routine maintenance, and again, you see the use of the lifts that we have here. And what's kind of cool is, for example, if we needed to lift this truck up in the air, we could lift everything up in the air in the whole shop. And what we do in that case is we have, can't really see them, but they're in the other corner. We'll put this truck up in the air and we'll set the whole truck down, even a ladder truck, down on jack stands. Essentially these big giant industrial jack stands. And then we'll drop the column lifts out of the way, move over to the next truck. And we could do that with as many trucks as we need to. So we could theoretically have 4 trucks in the air all at the same time. And
speaking of coming down,
what we need to get done. And it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We actually are getting to see it in use.
They're not the quickest things going up and down, but with what you're dealing with weight-wise.
Well, exactly. The power to weight ratio of being able to lift 18,000 pounds with a 3-horse electric motor.
So
requires some significant.
they're independent jacks, but he's only got the one controller. That's all linked
correct.
together.
Everything works off that one controller.
So the way it works is every single one of these has digital information technology in it, and it has sensors top and bottom, so that all the jacks know the position of all the other jacks. Because the last thing you would want to do is, let's say one of the motors, failed. Well, you don't want to lift the truck up like this because you don't want to dump a fire truck. Replacing that right now currently is $900,000. And we don't want to do that. We certainly don't want to drop a ladder truck at $2.5 million a piece. And which again is another one of the unique challenges of doing this kind of work is you would love to have been a fly on the wall having a conversation with our shop insurance representative when I told him that at any given point in time there could be up to $6 million worth of automotive customer equipment inside the building. So that was that was a unique challenge. We had to actually fish out for aftermarket, like Lloyd's of London type of insurance deal, because nobody will cover the kind of financial loss that could take place. Say the place burnt down to the ground. None of this is getting replaced anytime soon, and you're building it from scratch, and you're looking at wait times of 2 years. So if something happened to this truck or if something happened to that truck, you're looking at 2 years to get it replaced.
Wow.
You could be looking at a fire apparatus that could be in service for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Here in North Branford, you
Yep.
have that. And it's not something that a town budget will be able to just replace, because already we could be talking about $1 million to replace
That is correct.
a pumper truck.
And what's become quite popular, and this truck's actually a good example, is a lot of people, this truck is around 20 years old now. What people in departments are starting to do in order to save budget money is they'll take this vehicle and drop it off to us, and we will refurbish the entire truck. All the lights will come off, all the accessories will come off. We've even taken whole bodies off. Everything will come off the truck. We'll replace the headlights with LED lights. We'll replace the strobe lights with LED lights. We'll replace the light bars with LED light bars, install air conditioning, install seat monitoring for supplemental restraint systems. And in fact, I wish I had it here, but we just finished the truck up. The last one we did was around $300,000. So if you think about it, what we did was we took a piece of hardware that still has, 15 years of life on it, and we extended it, we extended it out by 15 years for $300,000 versus $900,000 for there we go. Everybody who's watching this is like, oh, thank God he shut that off.
Yeah.
Copyright infringement? No.
Yes.
Well, that too. So that's become a pretty popular option for municipalities that don't have the ability to just go out and drop $1 million on a new engine, or for in some circumstances something gets damaged and they need something right away. We could turn around a refurbishment in about 8 to 9 months. And you can't even, like I said, it's a 2-year process to get a new truck between the time you order it and the time you get it delivered currently. And they expect that to increase over time. So,
yeah, because I think with engine one, there was talk about getting that one replaced. And the thing is you're talking 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years, about $1 million. And then in the meantime, you're dealing with a truck that was repowered or refurbished. I'm trying to think when
What's
that
already
was.
95.
Yeah, that was 95. And it's just like I said, you can't just go out to a dealership and buy a ready-made fire truck. Everything has to be custom built to whatever that suits your department.
Yep, that is the deal. So let's see. I'll show you some other cool stuff we do that you don't see in other places. So obviously, a big part of fire trucks is its ability to pump water. The old adage in the fire department is you got to get the wet stuff on the red stuff. If you could do that, you're doing okay. So everything we do here is huge, large volumes of water. So here, follow me. I'm going to show you something. And excuse the mess out in the backyard. If you see any OSHA, just know that it's already been taken care of by the time you see this.
We'll do this. We'll just do this with my hand in front of the camera.
There you go. So what I have here is, this is a testing facility that we use to test the operational effectiveness of the fire truck, which is something that has to be done according to regulatory statute once a year. So every year, every truck has to be tested to its capacity, which ranges anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 gallons a minute of water at 150 pounds of pressure. So you're talking about a stream of water that's from here to those trees for an extended period of time. But what we've done is, underground here, we have a 9,000 gallon water tank. And what we do is we bring a truck in here and we'll connect suction lines to both sides of the truck. And we will, what's called draft. We will draft water out of the tank that's underground, and then we will put it through a deck gun here, flowing that 2,000 gallons a minute. So instead of us throwing that water into the tree line, we're just recovering that water.
It's going right back into the tank.
And it's going right back into the tank, correct. And the tank's long enough that from the point of entry to the point of where we're sucking up the water, the aeration is out of it, and we're able to recirculate that water. We've roughly pumped probably, I think around, last count, 11 million gallons of water total, something like that. So It's a real mainstay of what we do, is making sure that
You
these
said
things
1,000 to 2,000 gallons a minute?
a minute.
How many
Correct.
gallons does a truck hold?
Well, most trucks hold around 1,000 gallons. Okay, and most, just to give you some example, most fires, let's call a typical small house fire, you'll need to maintain flow rates of somewhere between 2 to 600 gallons a minute. So the water that's on the fire truck that you bring to the fire is good for about 2 minutes, sometimes 4, depending on what kind of fire you're dealing with. But ultimately, it gives you an idea of how much time the department has to set up a water supply, to find a hydrant, or to get a tanker in that's going to subsidize that water flow rate, because without it, everything burns to the ground.
Right.
And that's just the reality.
And also, too, this is why they have constant training on it. I used to be a volunteer fireman for Brantford, back from for 20 years, and the thing is, it's very critical, because in any case that you are dealing with any kind of situation, time is of the essence. And there are times when you can misjudge something, but you got to react quick, and you got to just get it corrected.
Yeah, and the training that these guys do really becomes a well-oiled machine. Everybody knows their job. Everybody knows what has to happen. Everybody knows what the first truck's on arrival. Everybody knows what their job is. Everybody knows what the second truck's arrival is. Everybody knows what the ladder truck's duty is when it gets there. And it just happens, like a well-oiled army unit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows what they're doing, and it just gets done. And you're depending on a decent, on an incident commander to help coordinate all this and make sure ultimately that you save the structure, save the lives, and and get to go home to your kids and sleep well at night, knowing that you did something good.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
This is mine. I know it says North Brantford on it, but this is mine, and I got it for a really good deal that I'm not going to mention. But the reason why I bought this was not to loan this out to other customers, but when we do one of those refurbished jobs that I was talking to you about, what we'll do is we'll actually use this as a crane to take the cab off and set it down somewhere else, or to take the body off and set it down somewhere else, because this is it's 110 feet long, but fully retracted, we could lift around 8,000 pounds with it.
Wow.
And just pick it up and set it anywhere we want. And fully extended, I can lift 1,000 pounds and put it anywhere I want. So I will admit to putting a swing up in my yard last week. That happened.
Yeah.
But you have to, it's sometimes you always have to think outside the box. I think outside the box. I know Ed always thinks outside the box.
You would not believe the
that's
crazy
why
shit we've done.
we get along so well together. But this is the thing that you think about, and then you have the opportunity to implement it. And there you go.
One of the things I tell my guys all the time is that there's no such thing as can't, and a lot of shops, particularly a dealership or a private repair shop, you bring your car or truck in, there's always a place, they always have it in the back of their mind that they could just say no. They just, no, we can't do that, or it's too much, or we can't do it. We don't have that option. If it's broke, it's getting fixed, period. End of story. So there's no can't in what we do. It's just you haven't done it yet. And that's kind of like how we get by through the difficult jobs, which seem to come all the time.
I deal with it myself too, where I work. Unfortunately, I don't know if my boss wants me to tell anybody what I do, but at times I have to think outside the box, and also too is I have to react quick, and I have to come up with ways of getting that truck back on the road and plowing again in the wintertime. And even in the summertime, there are things that I have to do quick so that I could get that piece of machinery back to where it's in use again. And it's not easy sometimes.
Never is.
It's not easy.
It never is, and the supply chain problems with fire apparatus is just insane. Everything's 4 to 6 weeks. Doesn't matter. That's what the manufacturer tells us every time we need something. Most of the times they're lying. They're just covering their ass, and I get the items within a week or two. Sometimes they're not lying, and we have to wait 6 weeks, to get stuff in, and that's just the way of it. And a lot of people don't realize just how much community interaction goes on behind the scenes. But when your ladder truck is out of service because it has an oil leak in one of the cylinders, and you're not going to get a new one, you're not going to have a ladder truck for 2 months. You're depending on your neighboring towns for that assistance to cover that. And it's just it's such an intricate thing that people, it happens in the background like making sausage. Nobody knows, nobody cares how it's made, just that they get to have sausage on their breakfast sandwich. But here it's making sausage all the time.
That's awesome.
Ed, I want to thank you very much for letting
Sure thing.
us come here
Sure thing.
and check a little bit out of your establishment.
No, I appreciate it. Anytime. Especially because you have right here and I don't yet.
Also, too, is I have a little token of
Ah.
my appreciation. I want to thank you for
the
being
25
part of
cent
Barry's
tour.
quarter tour.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. Who else?
Right here. Okay. What?
I'll take your hand too. Take your hand.
Okay. All right, there you go. All right,
Thanks,
here. Okay. Anybody else that needs a quarter? Okay. Well, again, welcome to Barry's quarter tour, and also pick us up on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget to like and subscribe.